Hi, chess players. Welcome back. Round 4 of the 44th Chess Olympiad being played in Chennai, India. This is Norway versus Mongolia. As White, the current world champion from Norway, Magnus Carlsen, and Batsuren Batsuren from Mongolia. I'm sure I butchered that name. I wanted to tell you that I haven't showed it yet. See this white bar that's along the right side of the board? What that is, for those who don't know, it's who's has a lead. In other words, that little line in the middle means even, and the green is either up or down below the center line. In this case, it shows White with a slight advantage because White moves first. But anyway, let's get to it. It's a really, really good finish by Carlsen here. Of course, being the world champion. He might be as good as Fischer. I don't know. That was 50 years ago when Fischer won the world championship. Chess has changed a lot. The players have changed a lot. I'd have to say in so-called modern times, we'll call it the 21st century, for lack of a better word, Kasparov and Carlsen are the two that stand out the most. Let's get started. It comes out to be a Queen's Gambit accepted, I believe. Now, I'm having trouble myself. When I'm black and White plays d4, which is the queen pawn, I'm having trouble with a response. Maybe I should pay attention more because I'm looking for a response that I feel comfortable with. It's a Queen's Gambit decline exchange variation. Bishop, bishop. We'll go through the opening here. There's no point. This is about opening theory. A beautiful, beautiful ending sequence by Carlsen, by the way. So stay to the end to see that. As you can see, it's that little green bar go up and down. It's showing an advantage for White. I have a computer on off screen. It's about half a point advantage for White. Nothing spectacular. Bishop. Reminds me a little bit of my London setup, which I do play as White. Castles. Bishop. Queen. Now, Bishop going back. That's interesting. That must be something that Black had prepared. Normally, you don't like to move the same piece twice in the opening if you can help it. There must have been a reason why, either she was preparation or a computer line that he was looking at. That's one thing that Fischer didn't have, of course, is the computer lines. And the computer likes rook e8, bishop e7. Those are all normal moves. Moving the bishop back to Black to pin. Bishop d6 is the third choice, and that's what Black took. Queen c2. Get that right in that semi-open file. There's no black pawns on that file, so get that rook on there. Do some good. Rook f to e1. Now, the reason why I didn't want to move this rook over there is because what's going to happen is you're going to want to move this rook here eventually. Bishop goes back to stop the pin. I think what Black's afraid of is this. If pawn doesn't take, he pushes again, hitting the knight. So he takes that right away. Knight to f8. I've done that myself. There's an old expression. A knight on f8, you cannot mate. Knights are incredibly good defenders for castle kings and incredibly good defenders for kings, period. h3 just to stop the pin on or hitting the knight on f3. Bishop is going to fianchetto, maybe. Or you can go to c5, try to bust up White's pawn center. e4, there's Carlsen. He's going to open it up now. D takes, knight takes. And bishop e7. It's a little awkward because eventually Black's going to want to go here. But this square is being covered pretty good. So I don't know how he's going to do that. And if he decides to push and pawn takes, Bishop will just take. Maybe we'll have to see. but it's something you want to go after your opponent's center, your center pawns. Knight to e5. And the computer gave an exclamation point. It's actually showing white with over a point advantage right now. That knight's in a really, really, really good spot. So, black, I probably would have went to here myself to chase the knight. But after knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, you're going to get the check here. And if black goes here, you get forked. So black's going to have to go here. And it has knight takes x7. Disaster. It's a disaster. Black is doomed. So let's go back. After knight e6, knight takes. Bishop takes. Bishop checks. This is a great sequence by Carlsen, by the way. King f8. Very similar to what we just went over. Now, what would you do here? What is the really good move for white? It's subtle, but it's not subtle at the same time. Very fascinating. Rook a to d1. Get that other rook in there. Get that other rook going in there. It protects the pawn at the same time. You're going to start shoving that pawn down. Not as good as knight takes. Because after queen at d5, bishop e4, you're going to have to scramble to save it. Knight takes. Bishop takes. Knight takes. Rook takes check. Rook takes. Not as good with an advantage for black. So that's why he didn't take the knight. Bishop takes. Now d takes. Queen e7, just to get protection on the f-pawn, to help out with the protection of the king. And here we go, f4, here come the pawns. He wants to start pushing those pawns, and now he can. c5, just to get the bishop in play, but I don't think it matters. f5. Remember, even Kasparov in some of his lessons says, don't forget, pawns are attacking pieces as well. Knight to d4. What I had looked at was knight g5. Figured, okay, hit the bishop. But here's the problem. h4, knight takes, f6. And you got some problems. You got some real problems. So you can't do that. So knight to d4, queen f2, queen d7, and here it comes. It's all been set up. e6, here comes the pawn storm. As you can see now, queen is right on the king. And this bishop looms large, takes an escape square away, and can come here when needed. Queen c6, freezing white's queen because there's mate on g2. It's not going to really matter. Bishop e5, rook a d8. Black's trying to get some power, but it's too late. Queen to g3, guarding the mate, and threatening queen takes g7. Knight e2 check. Carlsen says, fine by me. Rook takes. Rook takes, check. King h2. Oh, the world champion's down the exchange. A rook for a bishop. Well, not really. Black's in trouble. And a lot of trouble. He moves the king up. And bishop f6 check. What a beautiful move. I should have waited to see if he could have found that move. So what happens after that? Why did he resign? Why did he resign? Well, let's go through the scenarios. If king takes, queen goes here, check. King can't come here, or it's mate next move, or mate very shortly. So he has to go back to E7. E takes F7, discover check. King. Now comes the key move. You can't take here because the queen's guarding it, right? The queen is guarding this square. And so is the king. So you can't play rook takes, but what you can do, you check with a bishop. And there it is. So say you go here. Queen takes, rook takes.
Mate.
And that's mate. Let's go back. Let's see here. We stopped the game right at bishop f6 check. All right, so the king can't take. How about g takes? Or excuse me, the king has to move. So we'll say pawn takes. Looks pretty good, right? Not really. Same scenario in a way. Pawn takes, discover check. Queen has to sacrifice herself. Say the king goes to D8. Rook takes check. Queen has to take. And then queen to B8. Amazing, because queen takes, pawn takes queen. And it's destruction from then on. He's going to get mated or slaughtered before he gets mated, one of the two. So really, really well done game by Carlsen. Has his enemy king right out in the open. Gave up the exchange to get the advantage. So there you have it, folks, from round 4 of the 44th annual, I should say biannual, chess Olympiad from Chennai, India. Hope you enjoyed this game. I'm going to be doing some more games. Look for those as time permits for me, because I have my other channel where I do news and politics. But chess is one of my passions I have for 50 years since I was a boy. But until the next time, goodbye and good luck.